pigs. If there was ever a story that disproved the saying better late than never, it's this one. After Fidel Castro overthrew Cuban despot Fulgencio Batista in 1959, he set about establishing a communist government right on America's doorstep. The US wasn't about to let Castro run Cuba, and so they started drawing up plans to oust the dictator and replace him with the old dictator. On the 17th of April 1961, Batista landed on the island's southern beaches with an army of 1,400 exiled Cuban soldiers. With air support from 8 US bombers, the rebels expected to push back Castro's forces and recapture the presidential palace in time for tea and crumpets, or whatever the Cuban equivalent of tea and crumpets is. There was just one problem. The US air support wasn't there. Forgetting that Cuba was in a different time zone to them, the US Air Force forgot to change their watches. The bombers showed up an hour late, just in time to see their team get massacred. It turns out that an invasion is not something it's okay to be fashionably late for. 5. Heinrich Albert. When you think of espionage, you probably picture Jack Bauer turning miscellaneous objects into torture devices, or James Bond sleeping his way through B-list celebrities. You probably don't imagine a middle-aged German man snoozing on a train. Heinrich Albert was the commercial attaché to the German embassy in Washington throughout World War I. He was also in charge of running a spy ring, monitoring the then-neutral America. Even though he was a spy boss, Albert still had to commute by train. Perhaps the Germans thought a bulletproof Aston Martin would be too obvious. One day, Albert fell asleep on the train to work, waking up at his stop and having to rush off. He was in such a hurry that he left behind secret papers with the names of all of his spies on them. At this point, Albert sounds less like a suave super spy and more like a hapless sitcom dad. Realizing his mistake, Albert rushed back onto the train, presumably slipping over some banana skins and falling through a plate glass window on the way. But it was too late. An actual competent spy working for the Americans had found and stolen the documents. Over the next few weeks, the papers were leaked to the press, turning the American public in favor of war with Germany. 4. 2003 San Diego wildfire. Getting lost in the woods when you're a beginner hunter has got to suck. Every tree probably starts to feel like it has the bear from The Revenant lurking behind it. So when novice outdoorsman Sergio Martinez got lost in a state of emergency and
Hello kid, we were just watching this video. Wait, I gotta go get some more chicken.
had an embarrassing slip of the tongue, but that time you called your teacher mum or told your co-worker you love them has nothing on Gunter Schabowski's history-changing slide in a press conference that all the system operator had to do was for the maintenance crew notice some water droplets on one of the plane's sensors. Probably thinking that this massively expensive jet couldn't be taken down by a little moisture, the station had plunged New York